Stedman community. Welcome to the 2020-21 school year. A year like no other. A year that has forced us to embrace ambiguity. A year where we have been plagued by infection and where covert racism has become overt in many sections of this country. A year we are witnessing a civil rights movement in high definition. A year where we find ourselves immersed in decisions that at times feel heavier than we can bear. Decisions that come with ambiguity, educated guessing, health and well-being of our friends, families, and loved ones. The unknown at times can create anxiety, stress, and fear. I say this to say that we are in this together. We are greater than one. Continue to ground yourself in our collective why of service, consistency, and intercultural development while embracing our values of diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. Use reflection as your greatest tool. Take deep breaths. Be kind to yourself. Remember that we are always modeling for our babies. As we move forward, I promise to do my part, to provide transparent information as soon as I receive it. And in the spirit of transparency, let me tap into that as I share some updates as we move forward into the 2020-21 school year together, greater than one. So we all know on 7/29, DPS communicated that we will begin the school year remotely and that we would stay in remote during the first quarter of school through October 16th. We've had a lot of questions around what this means. And what I want to tell families as they engage in filling out their AFUs is the AFU is a non-binding commitment, meaning up to October 16th, you will be able to make the best decision for you and your family, and you will have the opportunity to amend that decision to in-person and or remote, making decisions that work best for you and your family. The focus on equity through quarter one. I just wanted to share some quantitative data that the district shared with me that I thought was imperative to share with the greater community. Many families do not feel safe returning to school. Based on the last survey that was sent out by the district, 34% of African American students do not feel safe. 31% of Hispanic students do not feel safe returning to school, and 29% of Asian students opted for virtual learning. This is compared to 10% of our white families. 35% of English language learners, 28% of students with disabilities, and 34% of students who qualify for FRL also opted for the virtual only option. The pandemic, like everything else within this country, is providing disproportionate data and impacting communities of color greater. What we learned from last spring. What we learned from last spring as we made a hard pivot from in-person to virtual, that this is deeply rooted in service. I want to commend you as family members for working alongside us as we learned and engaged our students. At times, you may have felt like you were the teacher, like you were the educator. And the shifts that we have made this season is to tap into what we do best, and that is providing an educational service to all of our babies. So we will be tapping into relationships, synchronous learning, side-by-side learning with our babies, family support, and school-wide consistency. Given this year and the uniqueness of this year, and understanding that we have to provide a model that works remotely alongside a model that works in person, with serving our English program and our Spanish immersion program, can present challenges. But we are 100% sure and confident in our plans as we move forward, and confident that we can provide 100% remote and in-person in our two separate programs. Teachers will provide live daily instructions to students through Seesaw. DPS has a 3-hour-a-day expectation. Our day will look similar, but will not mirror DPS's expectations, because we know our community. We know what works best for our babies. And we're in the spirit of service, not compliance. So therefore, we are asking families to log on to Seesaw from 8:45 to 2 p.m., 2:10 to 2:30, 12:10 to 12:30 in some cases, for SEL and content blocks of literacy and small group instruction during that time. Students will engage in a lunch break after that. The afternoon will be independent work, some small group instruction, and completing asynchronous assignments. Fridays will be replaced, the content blocks will be replaced with specials, and students will have asynchronous work to do at that time. Attendance will be tracked daily and measured by touch points with classroom teachers, or engaging in synchronous learning alongside with a teacher or a parent. Everything will remain consistent with expectations for in-person learning. There will be a return to both descriptive feedback and number grades. Our learning management systems. Last year, we learned a lot from Google Class, some classrooms using Google Classroom, some using Seesaw. This year, we will use only Seesaw school-wide. And our online management tool will be Zoom. Yesterday, I sent out communication. Please fill out the Zoom waiver form so you can participate in Zooms online. You do not have to download the Zoom application. DOTS will be pushing that out from DPS. This is set up to happen Monday morning. If you need any further assistance with the Zoom app, please reach out and use our technology. Tap into our technology supports, which will be on your student schedule that you receive Friday. All Stedman teachers will be using the Remind app to communicate with families. Please remember that our goal this year is school-wide consistency. So every teacher will use Remind app, not Classroom Dojo. So families will have the opportunity to express technology needs via annual family updates, devices, hotspots. Once again, you can amend your AFU if you need to. If you have not filled out your AFU, please do it ASAP. With us trying to create 4 different programs, 2 English in person, a Spanish in person, English remotely, and a Spanish remotely, it is imperative that we have all the information. So please, please, please fill out your AFU ASAP. And stay tuned on device distribution. I am supposed to receive communication hopefully today on when we will receive our devices this week. There will be a 24-hour turnaround once we receive our devices to distribute to families. Resources. We are all about resources, and we want to differentiate our resources because we understand some families have different needs. So therefore, we are still doing blue bags on Fridays. I sent out an email, and in that email was a link for you to sign up if you need any food support through our blue black bag program. GPS meal distribution sites will continue at Smith and Manual. Closest dinner will continue at Hiawatha Davis Rec Center. New after school program, we have switched from Springboard to Leading Edge. So Leading Edge currently is providing childcare for our teachers and some community members during remote learning. I have sent out communication on how to contact Leading Edge. I will do so on my next communication again, but you can always tap into our family community liaison, Allie Larson. And I just wanted to leave everyone with this quote. This quote tapped into me this morning. It says, every successful individual knows that his or her achievement depends on a community of persons working together. And I just want to say that's what we've created here at Stedman. We've created a community that is so grounded in the foundation of working together, working in unison, not only to serve our babies, but to make decisions that are best for the greater community. And sometimes that can be difficult. That can be extremely hard. And we find ourselves in this moment of making those decisions, hard decisions, decisions that at times feels like we're guessing, decisions that at times feels like we don't know what's best for our families. But what we can always do in the midst of making these decisions is come back and tap right back into our values that mean so much to us and make us who we are. So I shared a quote from my grandma with the staff earlier this year. And that quote was, if your mouth is moving and your feet are still, then you should stop talking. And what my grandma meant when she said that was we cannot just say it. We have to be it. We have to live it. It has to become us, who we are. So please, Stedman, as we engage in ambiguity, in the unknown, let's tap into one another, and let's remember to continue to be kind to ourselves. I will take questions at this time in the chat. So if you have any questions, please fill out the chat. Will Spanish happen remotely is a question I just received. Yes, like I said, we are working very hard to create synchronous and asynchronous programs online and in person. It feels at times that we are creating 4 different schools because that's exactly what we're doing. We're creating 4 different schools. 2 remotely, English, Spanish immersion, 2 in person, English, Spanish remotely. Computer issues, where do I go for help? So we have created a technology website and a remote learning website. You will get all of this information on Fridays from your teachers. It'll be on your personal student schedule. On the student schedule, you will have links that students, the homeroom link that students tap into every morning. And then there's small group links for small group instruction. Within that schedule, you will find a number at the top and it says technology help. You can call our technology department, which will be run by some of our ECE pairs and deans. and we will field those calls. So if we can help you, we will help you. If not, we will refer you to the GOTS department. When will teachers reach out, and who is my teachers? Teachers have attempted to reach out to everyone at this point. We have had a few teachers that have called me and said, hey, I cannot get a hold of this family. The email is bouncing back. The phone number does not work. It is critical that we just make sure in our AFU that we have all of our updated information so our families can access that information in IC. Is Stedman upgrading to 5G internet? Heard other schools are. That is a question that I do not know. I have not received information to say that our internet service will change. I know we have some community concerns around what 5G antennas are up around our schools because they can be harmful to our babies. I do not know at this time. That is something that I will reach out, and you can email me directly, and I will do my best to get the information to you. What will happen October 16 when in-person virtual split happens? Right now, we need all of our families to complete their AFU. Once families can complete their AFU, we would know exactly who is opting into remote and who is opting into in-person. Once I have all of that information, we are going to shift what that learning looks like. It can be one or two things, right? We can, depending on the size of the individuals opting into remote, it could be as simple as one teacher serving primary and one serving intermediate. We also are trying to tap into technology during this time. So students might have the opportunity just to be in the classroom without being in the classroom. So we are looking at those two options, having students live stream into their own classroom and or having one or two teachers support intermediate and primary, depending on what that looks like. But I will not know until we have all the information from our AFUs. Any updates about ECE? Currently, I was told yesterday that senior leadership team is meeting and we should have an answer about ECE any moment now. As soon as I know, you will know. But as of right now, I have the same information that you have about ECE, that there's a possibility of September 16th, of September 8th, and that's it. So we will just wait and see. Hopefully we get information today or tomorrow. Seesaw, how to sign up for Seesaw. So Seesaw this year, since it is district run, will communicate with IC, and IC is our I guess, management system that hosts all of student and parent information. So Seesaw will communicate with IC, meaning that students will automatically be enrolled in Seesaw. Students would use their their username and password, which is usually their student ID and date of birth. If teacher has not reached out, please reach out to either myself, Adrian Lopez, or Emily Madison. Will Kinder be included if ECE starts early? At this time, I have not heard any information that would indicate that Kinder would be included. Right now, what I am trying to do is tap into resources to support our highest need students in structure with remote learning, so we can make sure that we don't we aren't unintendedly creating a larger achievement gap with our students of color and our white students. Students with IEPs. Those minutes should be serviced. Our special service providers are working hard right now to create sustainable schedules that will support and serve any individual education plan that students may have. Allie is also answering a few questions in our chat box, so tap into that. She may have answered your question.
Can we have another family pick up our supplies on our behalf?
Yes, you can have another family pick up your supplies on your behalf. Just make sure that the family has the student's first and last name and grade. Any other questions? What can parents do to help? First and foremost, like I said, that qualitative part of taking care of one another. And if you have resources to share, please tap into our community family liaison, Allie Larson. And we have PTA tomorrow. That's a good place to tap into so you can support there as well.
If we chose in person, then we would want to stay virtual. Can we change it? Do you want to repeat that you can change it to in person?
Once again, just around changing in person to remote, that decision that you make in your AFU right now is non-binding, meaning that you can amend that decision and change your mind as we get closer to in-person learning, okay? Even after October 16th, if you find yourself in an in-person situation and you do not feel comfortable with that decision, amend your AFU. This is not about compliance to me, this is about service and support. So amend that AFU and do what's best for your family.
Can you repeat the name of the app that parents use to communicate with teachers?
Yes, the app that parents are using to communicate with teachers is an app called Remind. If you have not received communication around Remind, you should have received a text message and or an email. If you have not received either of those, take these steps. Please look at your AFU to make sure all your information is correct. If your information is correct, please send me, myself, Adrian Lopez, or Emily Madison an email so we can support and fix that.
Another question about when we go to virtual, will there still be Spanish for students in immersion?
Yes, so Spanish, if we go to virtual, will there be Spanish for our Spanish immersion students who opt out of in-person? Yes.
Candace asked if we already have internet and a laptop, do we still have to pick up math? I maybe mention what they will be picking up.
Yeah, so we have a question about what you can and will be picking up, like what manipulatives you might need to engage in learning. Our teachers are hard at work trying to create bags for each grade level. Some in those bags will be books to engage in the curriculum, maybe math manipulatives. Right now, we are shooting for next Friday for that to happen. Next week will look more like students just getting into practice with one another. What does remote learning look like? How do we engage online? What will my small groups look like? What technology services will families need? So next week, we won't be diving deep into academics. We'll be diving deep into systems and structures. Come on, Stedman families. No more questions. What do you need?
Just as we're grateful for all the intentional meaning-making work the Stedman staff and teachers are doing.
Jess, we are grateful for you as well. Thank you.
Do you want to touch on somebody asked about your thoughts on learning pods? I referred them to the email if you want to talk about it.
So learning pods. There's a question about learning pods in the chat. My thoughts on learning pods is that first and foremost, we are a community. We are a community that, unlike many communities, is very, very diverse. It's diverse from an aspect of social economics. It's diverse from an aspect of racial identity. It's diverse from an aspect of language. It's diverse from an aspect of resources. And what a community truly does is spreads out its resources. Sometimes we react and we only see tunnel vision. And what I'm asking everyone to do around learning pods is to take a step back. Take a step back, view everything from the balcony of the dance floor, and not just on the dance floor. And really tap into what we think is important here at Stedman. Community, diversity, inclusion. You can't have diversity and inclusion. If you have diversity without inclusion, you're not doing diversity correct. Diversity, inclusion, and equity. So my take on learning pods is if you're tapping into those values while you're making the decisions around learning pods, then you're doing learning pods correctly. Talia, thank you. I appreciate you. Will we still have early release days? If and when we convene back to in-person learning, we will have early release days. That schedule has not been determined just based on, we don't know when we will come back in person. But once we do, we will release that schedule to families immediately so you can start preparing accordingly. So as far as us abiding to the DPS calendar, Stedman abides to the DPS calendar succinctly, and the only difference will be early release days. So if you need anything aligned to, are we in session remotely? Are we in session in person? What days the students have off? Just refer to the DPS calendar.
I'll tell them I'll put a link.
Ali is putting a link to the DPS calendar in the chat.
Any update on third grade CMAS testing or any testing for that matter?
There's a question aligned to third grade CMAS testing. Right now, that's a state decision, and I don't have any information that is different today than it was yesterday. Currently, all state assessments have been suspended. What we are going to do here that to ensure that our babies are growing and meeting the task orientations aligned to standards, we will continue to engage and illuminate. We have a new Spanish program called Duolingo and Rockalingua that will provide us with progressive standards for Spanish learners to let us know whether students are in the developmental phase and emergent phase, which I think will be great for our families that are deciding virtual learning for Spanish immersion. So we intend to continue to assess students aligned to the Colorado state standards, but we have no information that would tell us whether CMAS is a go or CMAS is still suspended.
Is it called Duolingo?
Duolingo, yes. And again, all of this information to our asynchronous tools that we will be engaged in will be on your student schedule that you will receive this Friday. I'm working on my remote wait time. We are using Estrella. We will continue to use the same curriculum that we have used the last 2 years, remotely and in person. So from the main Stedman page, you will be able to tap into our new remote learning website. If you go to the home page, there is a click pattern that will take you to our new remote learning website. You will be able to find all of your teacher and your student information there. You'll be able to find our tech number for support. I think that number probably will be used often for the first 2 weeks of school. And you will find any pertinent information on teacher homeroom status, etc. Our specials class is mandatory on Friday. I'm gonna say yes. And the reason why I say yes, the arts is just so critical to the growth and development of our babies.
Is there one specific time to pick up manipulatives from teachers, or are teachers reaching out for that?
Yeah, so teachers will reach out to you once we understand, have a better understanding when we're receiving our technology. Teacher will reach out to you and schedule an opportunity for you to come and pick up manipulatives and other items. This probably won't happen until next Friday. If you need school supplies, if you need any resources, please email Allie Larson so she can align resources accordingly. Community, I truly, truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. If I told you that this was not difficult, I'd be lying to you. Our teachers are really dealing with change management right now. And we're asking teachers like Don Romero, who has been teaching in this building for 34 plus years, to do things extremely different. And she feels like she's at the starting line. So please, please, please be gracious with them as they are still in this phase of learning and adapting. And the information that you receive is the first time they hear it as well. So they have that physical response. So I'm just asking, be patient, presume positive intent, and support them through this transition, because their hearts are with your children. And they are doing this through the lens of intercultural development as I push them on their own personal journey of equity and success and service, and at the same time, really trying to grow their technology skills and how the best to interact with families and students online. So please be gracious and patient with them and presume positive intent. PTA tomorrow. Make sure you tap in. Right? I think when we talk about our committees, our committees that our community serves on, our VAC community committee, Values to Action, and our PTA, Parent Teacher Association. It is critical that we align resources there, and we remember that service to one has to be service to all, and really align ourselves in our values of diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. We will share this link if you were not able to tap in for the whole meeting and you may have missed some information that was shared. We will share this link out in the email as early as tomorrow morning. Pretty amazing. We are joined by close to 100 families this morning. Close to 100 families that are living like me in this world of ambiguity, right? And trying to make the best decisions for our babies. And I ask you once again to be kind to yourselves. No decision is wrong. You will align with your families, you align with your children, you align with your neighbors, you align with your own cultural identity, and make the best decision for you and your children. Like I said, I'm working on my wait time.
There's a question about picking up lunches. Oh, I think I answered that in the chat. Any adult can pick them up, a student does not need to pick them up.
Yes, as far as lunches, I have a question about lunches. Who can pick up lunches? Any adult can pick up lunches for children. Once again, just know name and grade level. Lunch is available at the sites that we communicated Monday through Friday, and dinner is available at Hiawatha Monday through Friday. If at all possible, we do this for the babies. If the babies are around, I would love to see them. So if your children are close to you, please grab them and put their face in the camera.
No.
Say hi, Mr. Atkins.
Hi, Mr. Atkins.
Well, hello. How are you? My
Hi,
heart,
Mr. Atkins.
my heart just skipped a beat. I miss you all.
China.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi. Hi.
Say bye.
Hello.
Hi. We miss you, Mr. Atkins.
We miss you.
Love you guys.
Miss you. Hi. Oh, there he is. What? Get away.